Live.
We are live.
Okay, we're live.
Yeah.
Okay, usually Taylor says we're live, so I didn't hear her voice. You're on mute. You're on mute. There you go.
There we go. Sorry, I keep turning off my mic to reduce echo.
Okay. So there might be a little echo, guys. We're still working through this. But hi, RT Bear. Welcome to Hacks Chat. And this is where we talk from the studio here. And if you don't know, Hack Shack Studios is an ink studio. We also do other things. We create our own content, such as movies, TV, and of course, comic books. So with me, as always, is Taylor Grasso. Taylor.
Hi, everybody. We create comic books just like Black and White, which is live right now on Indiegogo.
Yay! And we have a special guest, John Davies. Say hi, John.
Well, hello. How y'all doing?
So, do you have the chat, Taylor, on your iPad?
I will pull it up right now, actually.
Okay, we'll stall for people. So you're familiar with all this stuff, right, John? How this all works?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get familiar with you. We're gonna let you tell your story, and basically, John is an aspiring artist, and he's worked for Hack Shack Studios for how long, John?
Well, it was that 1 year. It wasn't long. I can't remember the total time, but
yeah, it wasn't long, but you know what? It was very memorable, and you were sorely missed when you took off, especially
and still are.
Especially the endless source of pop culture. My gosh, if you named a song, this guy knew it. If you named just about anything, this guy knew it, and he was quick on the computer to find it. So he was an endless source of entertainment while we were working, and also he is a pretty accomplished artist in his own right. So what we're thinking, John, is that we would interview you and let everybody know or try to understand more what it's like to try to, teach yourself how to draw, teach yourself how to ink, teach yourself how to storytell, at the same time trying to break into the comics industry. So I don't know, this thing's kind of spotlighted on John, and what we want to do in time is make John possibly a regular character of Hacks Chat, since he is an alumnus and he has a pretty interesting story. I figured maybe this would be fun to have 3 instead of just 2. So
3 amigos.
Yeah, yeah, things work better in 3s. So Taylor, did you have anything to add? Is there anybody in the chat or?
We got about 10 people in the chat right now. Rodwell and I don't know how to pronounce your name. Your name almost looks like it says Abyssus, so I think that's how it's pronounced. Hi, he just called us the Three Stooges. So hi, you guys.
You know what? I'll take that because I love the Three Stooges. So there you go. Okay, wait. Okay, real quick.
I call Curtly.
Oh, see, there you go. That's where I was going to go with this. So, who's your favorite? Who's your favorite third Stooge? John, go.
Curly.
Okay. So no Shemp. Okay. So Candy, you have Curly as well.
That's kind of the classic. Everybody goes for Curly.
Okay, so I have to go Curly too. That was easy.
It's a group of Curlies.
Yeah. Ooh, that's what we could be called, the group of Curlies. Hacks Chat. Yeah, so 3 Stooges, I'll take that. 3 Amigos, whatever. Taylor's not quite an amigo. She's an amigas.
An amiga.
Amiga.
Oh, she could be amigo.
No,
no, it would be 2 amigos and an amiga.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the way.
Yeah.
No, the toys.
Oh. An amiibo.
An amiibo. Okay. Yeah. So anyway, so I think we got enough people in the chat now. So I wanted to make sure there was plenty of people, so when John tells the story, that everyone can hear. So. Hey, Taylor, before we go, are we able to also, or maybe John, can you check our Indiegogo numbers. I don't know if anybody knows, but we have a Indiegogo, black and white Indiegogo campaign going on right now.
Yeah, link is in the description if you guys want to check it out. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my voice down because I'm trying to reduce some echo because we are actually close to each other in the room. But I will check right now.
You sound fine. It's still at $10,340 with a 103% to goal.
Yeah, we're overfunding at this point. So thanks everybody for turning out and picking up a book or two. So anything in the chat, Taylor?
Let's see. People chiming in, giving us the numbers.
Oh, cool.
They're called
Thanks,
Amigos.
you guys.
Yes. Okay, without further ado, let's hear John Davies' story. Start at the beginning. When you were born.
Like when I was born, back in the 70s. Early 70s.
Yeah, let's hear about, like, you know, not that far back, but when you were trying to break in. Was it in the 90s?
Yes. I would go to a few conventions here and there. Back then, they were still kind of small in either like hotels or small venues and such. Like at the Elks Lodge in Long Beach. We had, I'm from Long Beach, California. Not too far from where Art was.
I was born in Long Beach.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I grew up there. So
we're talking about being born now. We weren't going to do that, but we ended up doing that. Yeah.
Long Beach, the cradle of comic book artists.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of us are from there. Quite a few indies are from there. So I would particularly go to one show that happened every single month in Los Angeles at the Shrine Auditorium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a great show.
Yeah. Great people. Great people. At one point, I sat up a few times there, and a lot of people, just meeting a lot of interesting people. It's a huge indoor swap meet of comics, is what it really is. And anime, anything anime that you ever wanted years ago.
Do they still have that?
Well,
yeah,
that's the one we went to. It's now the one with
the Reef.
Oh, the Reef now, right?
Yeah. It's at the Reef on the other side of the freeway now.
But
that
John,
place is cool.
Yeah, that place is really cool. So, John, tell them what famous event is filmed at the Shrine or has been.
The Oscars and such.
Yep.
Yeah. There was quite a number of awards shows that were there. Like Golden Globes were there years ago, but mostly it was the Oscars.
Yeah.
And a few people that I did meet when I was there, and this is really dating things, was Bob Kane. I met Bob Kane there.
Wow.
Wait a minute. I was at that show. Was that was it Batman Forever? Is that were they talking? Was that Akiva Goldsmith there too?
I believe so.
Oh, and they had the Batmobile there, right, from that movie?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Oh my gosh, this is a small world. I never knew this, John. Yeah, we were both there.
Yeah.
Living parallel lives.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, and it's a great time there, always at that show, and just building up my portfolio and such, and greeting different people and everything. I ended up working at Warner Brothers for a little while. I worked at the sets design area, so help with the Murphy Brown sets, the Urkel Family Matters sets. We had ER writers, which were like 400 writers right next to us in all their trailers and such. And they would add another trailer, another group of writers would be in there. They were filming The Little Princess right next to us. It was really cool. And you get to see all the old sets that they built, because they would, or props and such, they had hanging up over us inside the studio there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, like what was her name? Cleopatra, Elizabeth Taylor. Her boat that she had on the Nile was hanging up above us. They had a bunch of different planes and such, if I remember correctly, hanging above us in that studio there. I also hooked up with a engineer who actually helped design on the Batman and Robin, the one with Mr. Freeze.
Yeah, that was the one that Akiva Goldsmith wrote, right? That was the one that at the Shrine thing that we saw, right? That was the same movie that they were promoting.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was the engineer that I worked with on there with the designs and such was for the Mr. Freeze's actual lair and his beam, the
freeze ray.
His rifle. Yeah.
Yeah. That was super cool to do. Got to meet Chris O'Donnell and Alicia Silverstone and such, and sit and watch a lot of the action going on when they were filming and everything. It was cool.
Okay, so where the comic books fit in?
Comic books always have been there, and I've worked for different other indie properties back in the day in the 90s there, where I Enigma Comics, where we had stories by somewhat of Zachariah Sitchin, where the writer had wrote a huge scripts of everything and wanted me to draw them up. And I think we did a couple of issues on that. Most part of my journey has been in independent comics.
Okay.
So I love it, just like what you're doing. It's very indie. So, and everybody needs to jump on that. That's exactly what they need to do. If they miss on this, they're missing out a whole big generation of stuff.
So you're talking about black and white, right?
Yeah, black and white, remastered.
There you go. Okay, so where are we at on that? Are we still the same?
No, we're at 10,500 now.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And still climbing.
Yeah, this is like indies, not in the day, right? This is indies like the Image days where people made real money.
Yeah, and so I did those things. Spoke with a lot of people. You meet a whole lot of independent guys when you are indie. So you just in and out, talking to different people and seeing what you can do.
What were some of the highlights? What were some of the titles that you worked on back then?
It's been so long, Art.
That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
So let me just ask you, were you paid back then?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes. When you first start out, yeah, you're doing a lot of stuff on a wish and a prayer. Yeah. and then sometimes the prayers are answered, sometimes they're not, and it's just more along the lines of, hey, getting your stuff out there, seeing people seeing it and such. So maybe it's small groups, maybe it's not, but maybe it's larger.
Yeah, but a lot of times early on, like when you work for small publishing, I don't think they are doing it on purpose, but a lot of times there's a lot of wishful thinking on the part of the publisher. So they think they're going to have X amount of dollars to pay, and then sometimes it works out. More often than not, it doesn't. So I remember, because I too broke in independently, and so a lot of times you would get I guess they would call them upfront, like the first half of the payment, and then sometimes the second half would come out after the book came out.
Yes.
And so a lot of times I didn't get my second half payment.
Yeah, they typically on those, it's the costs were too great to be covered, and we didn't have enough left over to pay you. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How convenient.
Hey, a couple of people have chatted in. did any of you Californians ever catch Spike and Mike's Animation Festival in San Diego? And yes, I did. Back when it first started out, and with the one of the publishers I went down with, and it was great. It's funky. It's real independent stuff. A lot of animation, and it's right when DVDs were coming out. So, and you'd have to play them only on your computers. So
Taylor,
that's
you caught a couple of those, or were they the Sick and Twisted or whatever?
I don't know which
Yeah.
ones they were because I was actually I was a really young little kid, but my mom used to take me to those all the time, and I remember a lot of them were kind of adult oriented and weird.
yes. Oh
But
yeah.
they were a lot of fun though. I really liked them at the time. We used to go, it feels like every weekend, but I think they were like a monthly thing.
Let me back up for a minute. John, do you hear an echo with Taylor?
No.
Okay. Does the chat? Because if not, then I won't worry about it. Are the chat chiming in yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so then we're good. As long as I'm just getting the echo, I'm fine with that.
Hey, Art, they want to know shipping to Canada on your $50 tier. Do you know how much the shipping's going to be?
The shipping should be indicated there. So what we have is we have a little bit of a disclaimer that says if it goes on well above that, then we may actually, because we'll go to the post office once we get your address, and then we can find out the actual shipping cost, and then we can get back to you with that. But so the cost that's there is kind of a base price. So it should cover most things. So it should be in the tier. So they should be able to answer that, because I don't know off the top of my head. Do you, Taylor? What, Canada?
It just kind of varies just because we put kind of a flat rate shipping as far as international stuff and just stuff outside the US. So you might incur some fees if you're from like Australia or something, but as far as Canada, I think I don't remember what it is off the top of my head. I want to say like 17 to 20.
The thing is with the international shipping is they don't really provide, like Indiegogo doesn't provide a way to accurately determine what the shipping is, even domestically. But domestic is better because, you know, it's relatively the same from state to state, as long as it's in, you know, the United States proper. You know, when it goes out, you know, to Hawaii or Alaska or wherever, it usually gets it can get a little bit more. But as long as it's within the United States proper, we can pretty much keep the shipping a low price. But the international is always tricky, because there's no way we can accurately figure out from place to place. And even if it's Canada, there's different prices in shipping in different places in Canada, you know, because Canada is a big country. So
Yeah.
even European shipping is tricky, because from region to region, from place to place, it can get, you know, it can be less, and sometimes it can be more. So we just have a little disclaimer there. If it's really, really expensive, then we will probably be sending you an email, and, you know, once we get the shipping price. But I'm pretty sure that that's not going to happen, because the way I'm looking at it is that we'll just, if it's within reason, we'll just absorb the costs. Like the campaign will just absorb the cost if it goes over for some of the international. So
Okay.
I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, you did. He said score. He's just happy I can order your book from my frozen hockey land.
What part of Canada did he say? What part of Canada he lives in?
He hasn't said yet. It's Abyssus, Abyssus.
Okay. Yeah, so that's cool.
And
So what was the total? Where are we at, you guys?
we're still at 10,500.
10,500.
Yeah. I'm hoping we could break 11,000 by the end of this chat here.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
John,
I want to know. I want to know which person it's going to be to do that. You know, because it'll be so cray to see this thing go up and up.
There's the John we know and love with the crazy.
Yeah,
That's
hell
why
yeah.
he makes the big bucks.
You know. So, but in the end of 97 through 2010, I took a hiatus out of comics and the whole industry because life, that's all I want to say, is life got in the way.
It
And then,
happens.
Hey, John, just to back up, I've been tempted a few times as well. This is a tough industry.
yeah, you know, it's not for the weary. So let's.
So
but,
now we're present day now. So
no, we're about 2010. So
okay.
I got back into it. Some guy found me because of all the Facebook explosion and such came about, and he's like, "Hey, do you want to help me re-image my book that he did back in the 80s?" And I said, "Sure." And he sent me a few pages to look over to redo them. And I was still trying to get my hand and eye back in order, to getting my skills back. And
so you're mainly talking about inking, right?
Both drawing and inking.
Oh, okay.
And so with that, I did 4 pages because he had a collection of artists do 4 pages, 2 pages, something like that, and put into his book. And we did it, and it was called The Adventurers, I believe it was.
That's actually a cool title.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool. And then it was either him or somebody else within his group wanted me to do some character designs for them, and I did 4 pages of character designs. Remember how the old Marvel books had your the character drawn and it gave the whole synopsis of the whole character?
Yeah,
the bios, guide. Those are pretty cool.
Yeah,
that was on the front inside cover, right? When Marvel was doing that.
No, the whole books. Remember?
They were like encyclopedias, right?
Yeah.
Oh, the Marvel Universe books. Okay, yeah. The A through Z thing. Yeah. And then DC had the Who's Who.
Yes.
Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and those were so cool because a lot of great artists would contribute to those, And I'm shocked you didn't do that.
Oh, so. I did.
Oh, did you?
Not the Marvel stuff, but I did a lot of Who's Who pieces for DC.
Oh, that's cool. And then from there, I had an opportunity to do another indie book for someone who found me on DeviantArt. Okay. And he liked what I could do with horror stuff, and I did a 16-page story for him, and I forget what the title was on that, but I did from cover all the way through, pencils and inks.
Very cool.
Yeah, and it was really cool too, and it was very goreful. So I'll just say that, a lot of gore.
Taylor likes the goreful stuff.
It's my favorite.
Hey, if you could hack and slash it, she's there. So.
You can find some really good people in DeviantArt. I know it's kind of becoming like a meme now and it has a weird reputation, but there's some really talented people on there.
Oh yeah, a ton of them. That was the place to go. But now there's just so many social media forums that you can post your stuff up and gather people. So
the reason I like Deviant almost more than I love Instagram. That's one of my favorite platforms. But Deviant is cool because it's like a portfolio, because they're the images that you want. Like because Instagram, they crop the images so you don't get to see them in their full, the full 11 by 17 or whatever the composition size is. But on Deviant, you still get to see the full size. And you can blow them up. Like you can click on them if you give them a higher resolution. You can click on it and you can see it bigger. So I know this is probably not the most popular, because I know that Deviant is like, oh, it's the old platform. But I still think it's really cool as far as a portfolio. So if you're working for somebody, like John, like if you're trying to woo a client and you're trying to get some work, you can just go, hey, go to my Deviant, you can give them a link, and then they can basically see your portfolio. So I think I think it's pretty cool still.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's a good format that was kind of originally made for artwork, so it works better than most.
Okay, are we still 2010, John?
Well, right in there, 2010, 2011.
Okay.
And I answered an ad to this guy with the novels, like you have done in the past, where you do the covers for these collected novels and such. And I did about 15 of those covers for them.
So you're
And
talking about novels, not like illustrated novels, like.
no, not graphic novels.
Okay.
No, actual novels with words that people read books.
Those
And
Ew.
yeah, no, no pictures on the inside, guys.
We need pictures.
But yeah, I did those, and that was a great building source for me for getting back into total drawing and inking and stuff. And I wanted to learn more on the inking side of things, so I encountered you once again, because the very first time we actually met, it was at a comic shop. Right after you did the X-Men 12 and 13, after Jim Lee at Dave's Action Comics.
Dave's Action Comics, that's right.
Yes, and that's where
God,
we
I love
first.
Dave. Dave was awesome.
Yeah, he's a
Hi,
cool
I'm
guy.
Dave. Dave of Action Comics.
Yes.
He had the cool hair. He had long hair. He's like some kind of metal dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was cool. And do you remember that we had at that signing, we had there's a local radio station out here called K-Rock, and it's like one of the most popular radio stations in this area. And they did a crossover with Dave of Dave's Action Comics. That's where I get that, because it was like the radio commercials were like, Dave of Dave's Action Comics, RT Bear, 12 and 13 X-Men artists from Marvel. Like, it was like this kind of like, like hypey voice, like be there, be there, be there. And yeah, they actually came out. Do you remember this, John? They came out and did a live remote.
Yes. Yeah, with the van and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they were given. It was the Guns N' Roses Metallica tour, and they were giving away Guns and Metallica tickets. And then I got to draw the winner on the radio live.
Oh my gosh!
Do you remember this, John? Or were you?
Oh yeah, I was still there. Yeah.
Do you remember who won?
I don't remember the name at all.
It was my brother. Yeah, my brother was
what?
There. Yeah, and he put his name in the raffle. So right on the air, I'm like, I pull out, I go, Anthony Thibert, and then they're like, boo, like my brother.
Corruption.
Like, so I thought I was going to be hung out to dry. I thought for sure that crowd was just going to lynch me right there. So I just quickly just looked at the guy and I was like, and then I just put the name in my pocket and I just drew another name. And so then I was the hero again. So yeah, that
How did your brother react to that?
You know what? I never asked him. I think he knew. I had to do that or I was going to be killed. And you know what? He probably would have been killed too. They probably would have beat him up in the parking lot when he was getting his car. I'll take that winning number. Thank you. Oh my gosh, John, I forgot all about that. That's cool. I'm glad you came on. This is fun.
Now with Dave's Action Comics, how I would make my money through high school there to buy comics was I would do his flyers for him once a month or every other month, because my buddy there in art class was doing the flyers also. And we also did a huge X-Men. I don't know if you remember on the back wall next to you guys where you guys were set up at, the original piece was there where I did the ink work on it over Aniri's pencils of X-Men for Dave's Action Comics store for his flyers. And we would pass out the flyers to everybody wherever to come to the store.
I don't remember that, but I do. If Dave's listening or anybody knows Dave, he was the coolest guy ever. And he was a strong supporter of not just comic books, but he liked artwork. Because remember, he would display artwork all around the perimeter of the store. It was one of the best looking stores I've ever seen. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember when it was the one small part of the store before he added on to the second part.
Didn't he? Like, he tore down a wall, right? So it was
Yes.
like 2 rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
And then he put in that big old TV there, and then the 2 chairs and everything. And he would have a Hellraiser or Hellblazer on it, whatever the pinhead.
Yeah.
Wait, is this still there?
I don't.
No. Before it closed down, it was like a gaming store, and I think his son was running the place. And then they finally closed.
The thing is, this was during the heyday, Taylor, of the 90s. So
Oh, man.
a lot of with some of the comic politics that are entering into the Marvel DC books right now, mostly Marvel, and they're kind of a lot of comic shops are closing because Marvel was a big part of their marketplace. And so people weren't buying the Marvel books. So a lot of retails were going out of business. And in the 90s, when the 90s books started, they started shifting over, and they weren't selling, the big numbers. A lot of these stores were used to making X amount of money because the books were selling very, very well. So then they had to try to shift over, but their business model was based on kind of a 90s number versus, the number that it ended up becoming. So a lot of those stores, well, not a lot of them, but some of those stores went out of business. And I think Dave had a high overhead. That was a really, really nice store. So I'm sure his overhead, it was a nice location too.
Oh yeah, in Lakewood there. So yeah, next to the college and the airport. So
yeah.
I really liked that store.
Oh, but one more like Dave's story is I don't know how this all worked out, but Dave knew some of the Metallica guys. Which is the comic? Is it the drummer? I think it's the drummer.
Ulrich, Lars.
Lars, yeah.
Oh, he's a collector, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
So, I found out through Dave that he bought a lot of my Jim Lee X-Men work in the day. And so somehow he invited us to that Guns and Metallica show at the, was it at Dodger Stadium? I forget where the heck it was.
Oh my gosh.
It was huge. And so Dave and I just walking backstage. The backstage area alone was like the size of this block here. It was huge. And there were just people everywhere. And there were different stages, I guess, of like some fans could be at this place, this level of the backstage, and then others to this, and then others to that. So we weren't in the first stage. We were in the second stage. But we were in the second stage holding area that some of the people would be picked to go, and actually meet the guys. So I guess Lars was a big enough fan. So we got past there and we got to hang out with Lars and have a couple beers with him. It was just Lars. It wasn't the other guys. So it was pretty cool. We got to talk about X-Men comics. He's a big Archangel fan. He likes those blades that shoot out of his wings and stuff like that.
I can imagine that.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. Okay, so Dave's Action Comics 2010, John Davies. The saga continues.
The saga continues. So after doing all them covers and such, I wanted to really focus on my inking to get better with that. And I met you once again at WonderCon. And we talked a bit, and you looked over
later now. I mean, this is
2012-ish.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
This is the first year WonderCon came to Anaheim, is that right?
Okay. Yeah, Anaheim.
That's right.
Yeah. And we talked a bit, and you told me to come on over, and we talked even further, and then brought me into the fold. And I learned a lot more in great detail about inking and everything from you.
You're darn right you did.
Dang right I did.
So what were you working on at the time, or were you that's when you were trying to come back into the
Yes, I was still building up, coming back, and I had a few ideas still in my head on what I wanted to do independent wise. I've never really seen my aspirations being working at Marvel or DC on stuff like that, I never thought I was that well
Oh, come on,
at
John.
doing it.
Doing Spider-Man, you never ever wanted to like draw Spider-Man?
Oh, I
I
like
know,
drawing
dare to
them.
dream.
I like drawing them and such. I just never felt like I was that well to do it.
You
As
weren't
far
a Marvel guy. You didn't fit that template of what
as
a Marvel guy was, right?
I guess. I think now, with the kind of artists that they do have there now, I'm probably on par with what they can do. You
What are
know,
you saying?
I'm definitely on par with what they're doing.
So you think you could draw Squirrel Girl?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
He draw the hell out of Squirrel Girl.
And whatever else they got squirrely going on there, I don't know.
There's some squirreliness going on with that company.
Yeah, definitely a lot.
Yeah.
Now, are we gonna see another participant for Black and White Remastered to increase this total to 11,000 or what?
How close to 11,000 are we?
We're still at
Uh,
10,500.
Yeah,
Oh,
we see
okay.
the stall, but we have 29 people in the chat. And hello to everybody.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you haven't, if you're tuning in late, John Davies is a wonderful, talented up and comer. So I'll let him plug his social media, a little bit further down the line. But just to keep you, just to give you kind of like the backstory, John, since the 90s, was trying to break in the business, got a little disillusioned back then, went into the private or the public sector. I don't know how would that be, I guess the public sector. So he became a normie. Let's just say that, because Taylor loves
Ooh, I do love the term normie.
Yeah, she loves the normie term. So he became a normie for a decade, would you say?
A little over it, yeah.
But you kept drawing, right, and inking through that time.
Very rarely.
Oh,
very,
man.
very rarely.
He didn't go full normie.
You gave up the dream. You gave up the dream. But the reason why John's cool is because it never went away, right? I mean, your love for it.
No, you always still have that fire because you have that itch of talent, that really wants to burst out.
My talent's itching right now.
Oh my gosh, you don't you don't know, everybody, what art is over the moon with this Black and White. This guy is so emotional. It's like, wow, and he wants everybody to have one in their hands of Black and White Remastered.
Okay, John, I'm going to set you up. Is it, say the line.
Is it so cray, man?
It's cray, man. Yeah, that's gonna be the tagline for this this whole thing. Oh, that's what we should call it. We should name this one, this Hacks Chat. It's cray.
In a world where law and order is cray.
Justice can only be cray. It can only be John Davies. but yeah, so then John was kind of a normie for a little over a decade. And so did you say about 2010 you kind of got the bug again?
2010. The fire started really raging. So
well, what sparked that? Why did that happen?
To be honest with you, I worked with a guy. I worked with a guy, and this guy says, "Are you John Davies, the comic artist?" And I said, "Yes."
Oh, cool.
And he's like, "I've seen some of your works," and I was like, "Oh, thank you." And he says, "Hey, do you still collect comics or whatever?" He says, "Look at the great things that are going on," and DC had going for them, and it was during the Darkest Night era, and the Brightest Day stuff.
We did some of the Brightest Day stuff.
Yeah, and so I started looking at all that stuff, and then it's like, wow, it really got me going again. You get that heart pounding.
So during that time, you weren't really reading comics either?
Nothing at all. I didn't have anything.
So you weren't just not drawing, but you weren't buying books either.
No.
So all the Ultimate Revolution with Ultimate Spider-Man and X-Men, you didn't get to see any of those things?
No, I had to back catalog them to see what you were doing and such. So.
Oh, cool. See, that's always the cool thing about comics that people don't understand. You can always go back. Like there's so much, stuff out there. So you can always go back and look. And now with these collected trades, they usually stay on the shelf. So you can go back and revisit, even stuff 10, 20, 30 years ago.
Which is the really great stuff too, So
it's always weird too, because they always say that's the reason they revamp things so many times, like as if reading back isn't a possibility.
Yeah, you can always go back. Okay, so I think people are caught up. So John is an aspiring artist that turned his back on the industry, and then came back, and was trying to rebuild a career and a resume in 2010. So now we've moved on from 2010. So where are we at now? We're at Meeting Me. When was that? At the WonderCon?
Yeah, 2012.
Okay.
And then we had a few conversations, and I started working at the studio with you guys, and we had a ton of fun there. On my end, it was a ton of fun. I loved working with you guys.
Oh, same. That's where
we're. Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and then with my tech background, I could find anything. So like you said, you can name a song and boom, there it was. We start listening to it. So we jammed to the music.
Studio DJ.
Studio DJ. Yeah. Yeah, it was good times. And then also John was working at Best Buy, I think, at the time. So he was working here, but he was also, because most of the time when you're in indies or you're trying to break in, you're juggling most of the time two jobs, and I did as well. So John has a good tech background. So whenever Taylor and I would have a problem, there would be John. Boom, fix. And I wasn't going to do this, but yeah, maybe we'll save this for another time, John. The time that you saved me at San Diego a couple years back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we'll save it.
That's a good story.
Yeah, we're going to try to bring John in on a regular basis, and maybe we should just say I think this is working out. You guys, all three of you guys, good with this? This is working. Everybody having a good time? Yeah. Is the chat having a good time?
They seem to be.
Yeah, let us know if you like.
They're on board.
Yeah, let us know if you like John, because what we'd like to do is bring John in on a semi-regular basis, and I'm going to let Taylor tell this story. She does this annually, and it's a big labor of love. And so she's going to be gone, John. It's a week, a little over a week from now, right, Taylor?
Yeah, the 25th is actually when I leave.
Yeah, so I'm going to turn this over to Taylor. But what we're thinking is that John will pinch hit for Taylor. So go ahead, tell your story, Taylor.
Before that, yeah, John, if you're down for it. And I think a lot of people in the chat can really sympathize with you and are maybe in a similar situation as far as the independent dream. But in September, I'm going. Are you ready? It's going to get weird. I'm going to this thing called Wasteland Weekend that I go to every year. And it is a Mad Max festival in the desert where me and a bunch of dirty weirdos pretend it's the end of the world and camp out and live like we're on a Mad Max movie set for a week.
I think when you said weird, what you meant to say is it's darn cool.
Well, I mean, for me, it's those are interchangeable, but it's a lot of fun. We have like a big themed camp. I'm a tribe leader, as they call them there, so I have a lot of responsibilities. My tribe is actually building the tent as I'm talking right here, so we're all getting ready to travel down to the Mojave Desert for the week.
So you're going to try to do some live remotes, right? Or give us an update when you're there?
I'm actually not allowed to live stream from there. I asked the head and they said, but I will be making videos that aren't live and I'll probably be uploading them to keep you guys posted.
Are you still going to try to come up with the sung brews and pass those around and take photos with the guys there?
It's funny you asked. I actually just contacted if any of you guys know the company Bottle Mark, they do custom bottle caps and stuff. I just asked them if I could make the deadline, so we'll see if I can get those done.
So the backstory of that, I'm going to let Taylor tell. I've been talking too much, so I'm going to let you talk about your idea about the Sung Brewery beer bottles.
Oh yeah. If you guys have read the original Black and White, or if you pick up a copy of Black and White Remastered by clicking the link and in the description of this video, one of the fun facts about Whitney is that she's the heiress to a brewery, and she's also a brewmaster to a place called Sung Breweries, which is her family's brewery. And I'm trying to make some labels, some Sung Brewery labels, and put them on some beers so we can have some realistic props.
We already have like a logo and everything, and it'll be in the comic. But I thought it would be pretty cool to have it an actual. Well, actually, it was your idea, Taylor, to have it on an actual bottle. And so she was thinking that she would pass them around and get some photo ops with some of the Mad Maxers drinking the amazing Sung brew.
Yeah, I wanted to like get them so that we could cheers them when we reached our goal, but we already did. So I didn't anticipate for that.
Well, we could still do it at the end when we overfund and make $1 billion. So
yeah, maybe at the very end you guys will get to see the Sung Brothers Brewery special beer.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I can't wait. So
Taylor, oh, I'm sorry, Art.
Go ahead, John.
They want to know who runs Bordertown.
It's Bartertown, and Master Blaster runs Bartertown, of course. I love the original Mad Max movies.
So does a couple other people.
It's really cool. Is there a website that people don't go now, though? We always say don't go now, but is there a website where they can kind of get an idea of what the Wasteland Weekend is all about?
Yeah, you guys, if you go to wastelandweekend.com, you can see all the stuff about it. Unfortunately, the tickets are sold out right now, but if you join the Facebook groups, you might get a secondhand ticket. It's a week long. You're kind of self-reliant out there, but if you're like an avid camper, you'll have no problem, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Renaissance Pleasure Fair for Mad Maxers.
But you have to have a costume. They make you be in costume like 100% of the time.
Nick W said to Comic Book Bob, "Hey, Bordertown was the Vertigo book."
That's right.
There was
Yeah.
One.
Yeah. That is very cray-cray, Taylor. I like that you go there and stuff and enjoy yourself.
You guys should come with me at some point. You can stay with my tribe.
Will you protect us? That's all I need to know.
Absolutely.
Well, they have some crazy winds this time of year in the desert, and
don't jinx it.
Well, I'm not trying to jinx it. I'm just giving like some story. Like, I mean, they really are out in like harsh terrain and things, and I think you guys were holding down your tent at some point because of the big strong winds.
Yeah, that was 2016. Sorry, I'm trying to reduce the echo on this. Yeah, in 2016, the windstorm swept our tent away, and I posted a video of us all trying to hold that thing down before it ultimately got destroyed.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty crazy. So, if you guys haven't gone out and pledged for Black and White, please do. And thanks to all the supporters so far. And I think we're going to try to wrap this up now. And but we just wanted to give you a little introduction to John Davies and bring him into the Hacks chat. And I hope you guys like him, because we're going to bring him back a couple more times before this is all said and done. And like I said, he's going to pinch hit for Taylor. We're gonna miss Taylor, but it should only be for a week. But John will be back. I mean, it's not gonna like he's just gonna step in for her. We're gonna have him back multiple times. And so where are we at, guys? On
still 10-5.
Oh, well, that's still pretty darn cool. So
yeah, it's hard to be sad about.
Yeah, I mean, funding in one day,
yeah,
that exceeds any expectations I had. So I think John I don't know how John did the math, and don't explain it, John, because it's going to give us all a headache. But what did you project this at?
Well, by the end, from the very first day, totals, we should reach 240,000.
Ah, from your lips to the backer's ears.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
The biggest thing that's going to help this reach that goal is by word of mouth. So everybody, through all your social media, share it as much you can. So,
yeah, get out and spread the word, like John said. And if you don't have cash, that's okay. Just spread the word. And also we have the PDF tiers. So they're lower, and you don't have to pay the shipping as well. You don't get a cool hard copy, the collectible copy, but you do get the book, which is cool. But like I said, I don't know if you guys are like me. I know Taylor backs this, but we still like the hard books. We like the actual tangible product. So
Yeah, and you do get a signature if you get the physical version. But if you're on the cheap, or if you're just a digital reader, I think that's a good deal. And John is right. So you can support monetarily, but you can also support by spreading the word about this campaign to anyone you think might be interested, and we would appreciate that immensely.
There's a tier for everyone. So whether you want to spend a little or spend a lot, getting all the swag. There is some cool swag in there, right, Art?
Yeah, and Taylor and I are going to be revealing, hopefully before she takes off the following week, is what the original pages. So we'll give you an idea of what the original black and white pages will be, because right now it's a little tough because it's just a tier. But I think if you're able to see what the pages that are available are going to be, then you'll be more likely to buy one of the original art tiers. So we just couldn't really set it up too much on the site itself because it's pretty limited what we can show. So that's why we had to do it that way. So
Art, yes. If we beat Cyberfrog in the grand total, will you eat a pie on the live stream?
Oh, gladly. I'll eat a pie now. I mean, it's pie.
Will you eat it with your hands tied behind your back?
Oh, okay. I see where you're going with this. So
that demands blood.
So now,
I mean, how far are we going to go with this?
Yeah, as long as Taylor doesn't get to throw it in my face, I'll eat it with my hands behind. You mean like one of those like pie eating contest type things, right?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Not throwing it in your face. It's all your terms of how it gets in your mouth. Okay. And your face.
So I was just going back to the earlier Three Stooges thing. So there's a lot of pies being thrown in those movies.
Oh, whoop, 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 whoop,
whoop. And we're all curly fans here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how annoying that show would be if they were all curlies?
Oh my gosh.
Spread out.
Now, would you do a pie eating contest with Ethan Van Sciver then?
I think he could annihilate me. I think he wants it more. He's way
now
more
that would be a live stream.
Well, have you, Mitch, Ethan, Nasser, and everyone else, like John and them, all eating pie?
That would be a fun convention. Like, we could all get together.
Oh my gosh, it would.
Can we have a comics convention then?
Yeah, we could. There's talk about that, so you never.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So you never know. There was a guy. Where was it? It was in Philadelphia. That was talking about having us all over there, and we would have it at a Dave and Buster's. So,
oh yeah. Hey,
that would be so much fun.
I went to the one in Orange County where Rob was at. And he was like the A-listed person, but Danny was there, Marat was there, Knock Knock was there, Norm was there.
Todd Knock?
Yeah, Knock Knock. Who's there?
And when you say Rob, you mean Liefeld?
Yes.
Yes.
And it was at the Dave and Buster's there, and I think it was Irvine there.
Yeah, I know where that's at. Yeah. I mean, it would be a great venue, a really fun venue, like an intimate venue.
Yeah.
Yeah. So who knows? I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the future. There's a lot of cool things down the pike, and I don't know. The sky's the limit. But the main thing for Taylor and I is we got to overfund this book because, like I said on our earlier chat, we did hit, our first goal, and that's great, and I'm so appreciative of that. But that's just going to pay for the printing and the Indiegogo costs. So this is nothing beyond that. So this is no colorist, this is no letterer, and this is Taylor and I not being paid for the work that we're doing. And we're not going to take a lot because what we're hoping is if we can overfund by a significant amount, then we can roll that into future projects. And we do have many future projects, and who knows, maybe John will show up in one of them. Maybe Taylor will show up as not just a writer extraordinaire, but as an artist as well. So we're, the sky's the limit at this point. So, but money does, sadly, money does make things happen. And, without that, we would, basically have to go, and it's not a bad thing, but go back to Marvel and DC and work for page rate. So I'm really hoping that this will work out so we can stay independent. That's where John's heart is too. And I know Taylor and I broke into the independents, and that's where my heart was and still is. And I know Taylor is there as well. So if we can stay independent, that would be great. And we can only do that with backers' help and money. So
I think a lot of independent has a lot more to give than it does from working for the big two, because you put a lot more heart into it.
Oh yeah, so it's not a lot of the comic book stuff, and it's pretty amazing that greatness can come out of it, and it has, and I've been part of it with an assembly line kind of idea, where one guy does this, one guy does that, and sometimes the book gets broken up where there's many people doing one thing, like penciling or inking or even writing sometimes. So it's pretty amazing that those books can come together and be as good as they are. But with an independent project, you're basically getting one or two different creative people's point of view, and they get to see it through the whole campaign or the whole book. So there really is an indie vision, and it gets to be, well, personal vision, and you get to see it through from start to finish without compromising, without with time restraint, because we're at, when we work for Marvel and DC, we're at their schedule, we're at their beck and call. So when they say it's done, it's done. But if Taylor and I want to put more time into a black and white page, and we're willing to spend all night, or we're willing to put that, like just today, we tweaked some of the inks that we had already had done. So we're still fine tuning the fine tuning, but we couldn't do that at Marvel. We can't do that at DC. So the neat thing about this is that we really can keep honing and fine-tuning the vision, and it's a personal vision. So when we come up with an idea, a new idea, and if we both sign off on it, then we can actually execute that versus going through a chain of command at Marvel or DC. We can just, if we're willing to put the time in, we can look at each other like, let's do it. And then we commit to it, and then we make the book better each time. So I really, really like that idea. And Taylor and I, the thing is, we talk about it all the time in the studio. Like, creativity is not a linear process. Marvel and DC, they try to streamline it to make it a linear process. And like I said, good product does come out of that from time to time, but it's not a linear process. So when a good idea comes, it comes. So when something comes to Taylor and I, we can actually sit down and execute it versus having to go through a chain of command or running out of time, which is the case with Marvel and DC a lot of times. So I really, really like that aspect, because you can keep plussing the story and honing the art as you go along, because as long as you're willing to put the more time in, then you can do it. So I really like that idea.
Oh, definitely. The quality is so much more. And in order for art and every one of us to do these things, We need people like you guys who are watching to actually make that happen. If you want it, then you could get it by participating in this project for funding it. So a lot of people here on the chat are saying, hey, don't go back to Marvel or DC. So in order for that to happen, everyone, you guys are going to have to pitch in and do it. Make sure that Art and everyone else doesn't go back.
Oh my gosh, you guys just touched my heart right there. Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
That is the plan. And like I said, Taylor and I have all kinds of crazy ideas, and it's mostly money. I mean, there's the time factor, but it really is money. And if we can devote more time to these projects, that, you know, like just solely these projects, then we can get them done faster.
Oh, that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the process will speed up and everything, because the quality is going to be there. And that's what everybody's saying. They like the personal touch, the quality touch, you know.
Yeah, financial support is the biggest hurdle because I think it's the most realistic one.
Yeah, and Taylor and I, for gosh, since she's been working here, and I've had it even longer, is, well, 25 years since the first black and white came out. I never let that independent spirit die, but I had to go back into like you know, you had to become a normie, John, to make ends meet. I had to kind of go back from Image Comics to Marvel, and then eventually to DC to make ends meet again, because the independent market just didn't support you know, what my demands were to feed my family and put a roof over my head. And so even when, you know, all that time, I kept trying to put out independent projects and tried to get black and white going, but it's just so hard doing it in your spare time. You know, like, you're already exhausted. Like, to work at Marvel or DC, it's a full time. I mean, most of the time those guys are putting in 8, 10, 12 hours a day, sometimes 6, 7 days a week to make these comic books happen. And, you know, how do you find more time? You know, and yet Taylor and I were still, you know, putting time in after, you know, after hours, and trying to, you know, keep that independent spirit and dream alive. And if we can do this, this would be a dream come true, you know, where we can be independent and we can get these ideas out there and not worry about having to do other things for financial, you know, to just survive, you know, kind of thing. So should we wrap this up? Do we have questions? Do you want to say anything, Taylor, as a...
We should probably wrap us up soon. Let's see if the chat has any questions. We're getting a lot of support here, though.
Oh, that's great.
Definitely. Yeah. We just need everyone to share this.
Absolutely.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So the 20 people that are in the chat right now, it's, if each one of you share the Indiegogo on your Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, that's going to help keep Art and every one of us doing the greatest quality of independent work.
And the thing is, too, you know, down the line, bringing more people in, like we're bringing you in right now, John, you know, bringing more creative people and getting more people involved. I mean, that's what this is all about too, is grow the community, get good product out there, and get, you know, individual vision, you know, out there, and just see what people, you know, you know, like, see what they have in mind, see if they embrace it. So is there anything on the chat, the chitter chatter? Any questions? Does Taylor have a wrap up?
All I can say is the chosen one said hello to you.
Hi, chosen one. Oh, were we gonna try to like start doing the super chats, or oh, actually this was kind of like, oh
we gotta enable it. We're close. We actually need a couple more hours of views. So equally important, if you guys want to share this channel with somebody you think might like comic book related stuff, we can always use support on the YouTube channel as well. So don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications.
Yeah, and that will help also offset, you know, funding all these things as well. So I appreciate you guys. I'm overwhelmed. Within a day, you know, we overfunded. We met the first goal. So I am so thankful to everybody. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for supporting. Thanks for listening to this. And let's get this thing done. So thanks, guys.
Thank you, Art.
All right. You guys have a nice night.
You too.